I swear, bro, I heard it before. When Bruce Buffer was announcing Sean Strickland, they called him Sean Anthony Fauci Strickland. Like that's what he's known for. Sean Strickland gets a lot of hate because of the jab. And I'll be honest, I have routinely been at the front lines of that clowning. I have said time and time again, and even a couple more times, that Sean Strickland has more jabs than Johnson & Johnson. But here's what you got to remember. How many athletes did we see dropping left and right? Not just athletes, celebrities, your neighbor, people you know and love. How many people did we see dropping like flies because of them jabs? So why do we assume that those jabs aren't dangerous? And somebody said it. I'll give them credit even though I don't remember their name. Some random person in a comment section said something along the lines of, man, when Sean Strickland loses, we clown on him for the jabs and talk about how he has no weapons. But then when he wins with the jab, we talk about how it's so masterful and strategic. And they're correct. Think about what they did with the jab in the world scheme. You know, they controlled. It's just like in a fight, you're controlling the pace of the fight with that. I don't know why I was doing, I don't jab, like I don't know what the heck that was. When you jab in a fight, it means something. It's indicative of something. It's not just in and out of itself, a singular, it's not just a jab. You're doing something with that jab. You're controlling the pace of the fight. Isn't that what they did? They controlled the pace of the world with that jab for a few years, right? I'm just giving you an illustration. I'm not trying to get political or nothing like that. You control the pace of a fight with that jab. It's not just a singular action. It means something bigger than that. And what I think a lot of people have the most problems with is he doesn't fight the way he talks, though. There's this weird disconnect. There's something lost in translation because you hear him rattling off on the mic and he'll do his thing on social media. He's acting crazy with reporters. But then when he fights, it's like, what happened? It's not there. He didn't back it up. But wait a minute, he did. Because what's backing it up? Probably winning, right? Is it more backing it up? See, there's a lot of revisionist stuff going on here all the time. You got to admit, is it more backing it up if you talk mad papas and then you fight in a way that backs it up and then you lose? Or you talk mad papas and then you win. And like Vin Diesel said, winning is winning. And I talk about that all the time too, how I don't like it that he acts a certain way and doesn't fight like it. It just feels like a punk move, you know? So when he was fighting Fluffy, I was like, oh snap, he must have had to put on like a different type of mindset to fight this dude. I was thinking to myself that he was probably picturing that in order to get to that place, he probably had to picture Fluffy as like a social media influencer. Like if Strickland had to hypnotize himself or something like that. Because I've never seen, I feel like maybe against Adesanya in moments, but I have felt like I've never seen Strickland fight like that. I've only seen him with that level of aggression when he's fighting social media influencers. So that's what I was thinking. He figured out how to hack his own brain, and he was picturing Sneeko in there. But then he said in the press conference after the fact, before they cut his mic off, after the fact, he said that he was picturing, what's that fool's name? I can't remember his name. You guys probably know who it is by now. Whoever was cornering Fluffy, and apparently he married Aspen Ladd. He Pat buried her. He Pat buried Aspen Ladd, and Strickland said he was picturing that dude as he was fighting Fluffy so that he could actually put on a good fight because he's like, I like Fluffy. He's a good dude. I'm going to picture that guy. Sean Strickland was thinking of Jim West when he was fighting Fluffy, kind of like back in the day when Jim West was thinking about Aspen Ladd when he was with his regular age girlfriend. And I know there's a lot of Bad Bunny fans out there that don't like Sean Strickland. But come on, think about it. This is a dude that has to basically picture that he's fighting a predator in order to even allow himself to hurt somebody. That's the kind of good-hearted dude that we're talking about right here. He's out there fighting mentally fighting predators. It's like a type of vigilante justice that he's embarking on. And you're pushing back. You're out there with your signs marching, boo, boo, cancel Sean Strickland. Are you telling me that you like dudes who like little kids? Because that's the only conclusion that I'm able to come to at this point. It's hypocritical, bro. It's frustrating. It's exhausting. When Arnold Schwarzenegger's out there fighting predators, everybody's buying tickets, right? Munching on popcorn. But when Sean Strickland's out there fighting predators, boo, they're cutting the mic. Let me actually talk about the fight a little, and then I'll get into some other stuff. So what I kind of thought was going to happen was that Fluffy was good. By the way, Fluffy, I keep hearing about how this was his nickname because he used to be Fluffy when he was a little kid. But that's not correct. Or if it is correct, there's more to the story, because this is not a cute anecdote from years gone by and it's just stuck. If you watched the fight this weekend, or if you had to catch the replay like I did because I was doing things, you would see that he came into the cage currently, present day, still Fluffy. And bro, you're at a high level right now. World-class status right now. You're up, for contendership right now. You're doing your thing. You're trying to get a title shot. You need to keep it tight, homie. I mean, there's maybe you're coming into the cage looking like Calvin Gastelum. I understand the nickname, the persona, and it's something it's kind of like a little cute American Idol story, but you're still Fluffy, homie, and it's the wrong time to come into the cage like that when Sean Strickland looked like he was in the best shape of his. He's married now, dude. He's got a lady shopping for his Wranglers now, and she's gonna want him to keep it tight. And I understand that Fluffy has the same thing, and he even has kids, and he has some chickens. But here's what you gotta understand about how there's different levels, which you already know. Here's the thing: if Sean Strickland was right here, when he was like a lone wolf, and it was like, well, whatever, I don't care. I just love fighting. Even win or lose, I don't even care about the belt. Okay, he was right here, and then Fluffy, he was right here. He gets married, he's right here. He gets some kids, he's right here. He gets some chickens, he's right here. Okay. But then Strickland gets married. You see, this dude's gonna have to have a lot more chickens, get a couple pigs. Like, they're gonna have to play this game. But right now, Strickland went like this. All I'm trying to get at is that this was the biggest fight of Fluffy's life up to this point. Even the name, bro, forget about the fact that, hey, you're Fluffy and that's you're fat with your kid. Huh? Hey, bro, you're still fat, bro. But even aside from that, even the name, get rid of the name too, bro. Like, that's a mental thing. You need to start calling yourself like Anthony Hardbody or something like that. Fluffy got to go, bro. Unless you're gonna do some stand-up comedy, you gotta be Hardbody, bro. He came into the biggest fight of his life looking like a squishmallow. I assumed that he was gonna come into the fight and leg kick Strickland and go for the takedowns nonstop, which I thought he's gonna think Sean Strickland is a very simple dude. Jab, 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 jab. Stand straight up. I'm gonna kick his legs. I'm gonna take him down, do my thing. And honestly, when I was hearing Strickland say this, I kind of didn't even think he believed it when he kept going on about how Fluffy was a better grappler than Chamoyev. I thought he's trying to do two things right here. He's trying to confuse two vatos with one stupid statement. I was thinking he's trying to enrage Chamoyev and trying to bait him into a back and forth so that he could get that fight. And he's also trying to confuse Fluffy and make him think that that's where his mind's going to be. So anyway, there's two things about that. If Fluffy was kicking the legs, because I think most people, before the fight happened, you got to put yourself mentally before the fight happened, because I know people are going to be like acting like they know everything now just because they already saw the fight and it already happened. I feel like it would be easy for a lot of people to assume Fluffy's not just going to stand with them all night because he's just going to jab, 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 and point fight him to death. So I don't think I'm some kind of a unique genius or anything like that, not just for this reason, for assuming that he was going to kick the leg and take him down. But there's two things about that. Sean Strickland is fantastic with taking leg kicks because he has that very, very, very light, like cat stance, like very, very light footed front leg because of that Muay Thai stance that he does. He stays very light on the front leg. Anytime someone tries to hit him with the leg kick, it's just like It's just like a feather blowing in the wind. That thing, like he's just ready to absorb it, and it doesn't really do him any damage to the legs. And it's like people forget that Sean Strickland is way, way better at grappling and groundwork than being on his feet. It's kind of like don't get crazy. I know it's not the same, but it's kind of like Henry Cejudo, Dustin Gaethje, people that are like so much better, you would think, on the ground. It's like, bro, why are you boxing? Why are you on your feet? Sean Strickland is that kind of like, he's so much better on the ground. It's like, why do you even do what you do? I guess it's been working for him. He beat Adesanya, what a lot of people think was one of the greatest fighters of all time, won the strap and all that. And he beat people. He has beaten multiple people throughout his career that are better on the ground than Fluffy. And I think a lot of people forget about that, not only because of his persona, which is very distracting. Anytime you think anything about Sean Strickland, this is the way that the UFC wants it, I believe. Anytime you think anything about Sean Strickland, it's about crazy stuff that he's doing insane. Nobody's like, oh, he's pretty fantastic and well established on the no. It gets suffocated with the oversaturation of all the interviews and stuff that he says on the mic. It's that combined with his current fighting style. Anytime it has anything to do with his fighting style, he's known as jab, jab, jab. They would call it, I don't know if you heard it, and I think they cut it out from Paramount. You know how sometimes like you try to watch old, like you try to watch like an old King of the Hill episode and they like took one out because it got too offensive all of a sudden or something like that. I swear, bro, I heard it before. When Bruce Buffer was announcing Sean Strickland, they called him Sean Anthony Fauci Strickland. Like that's what he's known for. But he does good work on the ground, and he puts a lot of pressure, lots of ground and pound. He's not just one of those dudes that's like, he's good enough on the ground to get back up so he could keep jabbing you. He loves being on the ground. And what I think happened after seeing the fight, what I think happened was the same thing with like Diego Lopez. Everyone's talking about his grappling. That's going to be it. He's going to choke him. It's going to be a wrap. Same thing with Patty. But more so with Lopez, like, he did not want to go to the ground with Volkanovski. He refused because as good and overhyped and talked about his grappling was, he knew. Who cares what the fans said? He knew. I know what Volkanovski's like on the ground. I know that pressure. I know that ground and pound. So you get a guy like Fluffy, grappling. He's going to choke. He didn't want to go to the ground with them. Or he knew that he has a pretty good, and I'm not crazy here, because I heard some people saying this. I watched, I didn't get to the end like I told you, but I watched what we refer to in this community affectionately as a buttload of his fights before the fight happened. And he doesn't have the best, he doesn't have the strongest takedown defense, but it's better than most people. And who cares if you take him down? Because like I said, once he's there, he's very comfortable and he's a fish in water. So just the same as Lopez did, Fluffy said, I'm going to stand and bang with him. Which is strange because, look, after the fight, Sean Strickland, and this, bro, Sean Strickland is a tricky one. There's a lot of things that I believe he says just to be like, you know, Colby Covington, Henry Cejudo. They're in a position where they have to do this. They have to do this because that's the environment that they're in with the UFC. There's people with winning records. There's undefeated people getting cut because they're not crazy enough, because they're not wild enough. That's exactly why Dana White's not mad at Sean Strickland. He's mad at the reporters. And I'll get to that right now, but what I was trying to say was, it's a little bit tricky with Sean Strickland because I feel like there's a lot of things that he says, and I know there's so many people out there. We got a lot of like psychoanalysts out there. I don't know how many people I've seen in the comment section. No, nah, he's not just saying that. I know he means it. How do you know? I know. Okay, there's a lot of stuff that he's probably saying to keep his job. There's a lot of stuff that he's probably saying because he really believes it. And then, hey, people who hate free speech. And remember, free speech is free speech. Hitler had free speech, all right? You can't choose what's free speech. I've seen some people, again, in the comment section say, oh, that's not free speech. That's not free speech when you're exploiting it. You're saying crazy. No, bro. Everyone has, Hitler and the Nazis thought that they were doing the right, respectable thing, right? That was their worldview. I'm not saying I agree with it, but from their perspective, they thought that they were doing the right thing. So who are you to create this objective morality and decide who should say what, bro? Because there's a lot of people who agree with the stuff that Sean Strickland says. So get off your high horse, get off your low horse. But the reason I brought that up, what I was going to say was, after the fight, Sean Strickland started saying that Fluffy Hernandez was like such a warrior and so good with his hands and his stand-up. And I was like, let me watch that again. And then I started to wonder, is this one of those things? I think he might have just been talking papas. Is this one of those things where, like, when you win a fight and you didn't look too good in the fight, now you gotta kind of hype up the dude so it makes you look better? Because if the dude was no good and you won and you didn't look that good, then it's like, bro, you should. Because we've seen that a lot where someone wins and it's like, bro, you should have won way more impressively than that. So maybe that's what it was, but it was very weird. He kept going on about it. And another thing it might have been was there was like a part of Sean Strickland, and I know a lot of people hate this because they've reserved, like they decide, I don't like this dude, I hate this dude, there's nothing redeeming about him, I'm gonna keep hating him. I don't care if he shows us something else, I've decided that I hate him. And he's talking all this trash before the fight, saying crazy stuff, and then after the fight, he's like, bro, there was this moment, you gotta watch it if you have Paramount, or I don't know if they'll show this part like on YouTube. This is kind of one of those parts where like they'll clip out because it's not like a highlight moment. But there's a moment where he has his hands raised. Have you seen that face he's making where he's like, and then when it winds down, he puts his hands down. Bro, I played it like 7 times. It was crazy to me. Because look, I've had this perspective of him as well. There was a time when Sean Strickland was one of my favorite fighters. And I just loved... And again, I don't love I feel like some people don't get this. I don't love everything he says. But just the same way that I like that new dude, what's his name? Josh Hoke. And then even like Charles Sonnen and people like that. I think that's people who like love the sport. We should love that, bro. Some of you guys get it twisted. Like, we're not watching MLB or whatever, like we're sick in the beanie. The fact that we're watching this, it kind of goes. I've given you this metaphor before. If you guys don't like this, if you don't like Josh Hoke, if you don't like, and again, you don't have to like what he says, but if you don't like what it creates, or like, what's the best way to put this? If you don't like crazy things being said on the mic, because that's even like what stand-up comedy is. That's why people laugh. And they kind of look. The person up there on stage with the mic, they're saying the kind of things that most people think of and can relate to, but they won't say it. They're not going to say it because they're going to get fired. They're going to hurt people's feelings. They're going to feel uncomfortable. They're going to feel like people are going to think I'm mean. But the person up there says that you're living vivaciously through them. It's like, you start to feel it, That's kind of like what Sean Strickland does. Again, it doesn't mean, I already know what kind of people I'm dealing with sometimes. I have to keep reiterating. It doesn't mean you agree with everything he says word for word. But it kind of creates this environment that's like, this is a freak show. Like, there's going to be some crazy thing. This is a carnival. Okay. But he's always like that. And then after the fight, there's this moment you could see it was like his face transition, and he looked at Fluffy and his face was like if there was a sound to accompany it, it would have been like, oh man. Like, you could see on his face like, bro. And he got this look of intense empathy and like compassion on his face, and he just dropped his hands and his body language was just like, bro, I'm sorry. And he just goes and embraces him. He's talking with him. It's like, that was real, man. When you got all these eyes on you and people are provoking you, and even if not, because I know that that's triggering some people. She didn't provoke him. She just exposed what's been there all along. Okay, whatever. Forget the word. When there's eyeballs and cameras and lights, and you know you're supposed to say something, you're trying to sell a fight and app. Okay, there's that guy, and then there's the other guy who's now at the top of the world. He just won a big fight. He just won a fight that means a lot for him in his career right now. And you got guys that'll be flipping off the camera, cussing people out, spitting at people, break dancing in the center, pretending like Israel Adesanya, like they're peeing on the cage and they're having sensual relations with people and stuff like that, doing obscene gestures to the people's corner and whatever. There's crazy stuff that happens all the time, right? This dude, you got the cameras, the lights, blah, blah. This is what everyone wants to focus on. The cameras, lights, reporters, I got to cut a promo, views on YouTube. People are going to want, I need something clippable. I'm clip farming. But this is the moment where everything, like, he won already. He won. It already happened. He won. In his moment now, even though he's not like carrying the strap, in that moment right there, in that little concentrated moment in time, he's at the top of the world, right? And what did he do? He went, oh, bro. And he went over and embraced, I'm sorry, bro. Starts talking with them. I urge you to watch that clip. And I know for some of you, well, that's not enough for me. Well, think about it this way, whoever you are. Why do you let certain things that anger you, why do those penetrate so easily? Why do those negative things penetrate? So, that's how social media has wired us, right? That's how it's conditioned us to be. That's how they profit. Because the anger, the rage bait, and you don't hear joy bait too often, do you? Did I just coin that? You don't hear joy. That's why it's not a thing. But you hear rage bait. Whenever he says something bad and negative, the anger, that'll penetrate, that'll get in, right? But when he does something like this and shows some, that's real now. He doesn't have a reporter in his face right now. He's not trying to cut a promo right now. That was a real raw moment. Too little, too late. Okay, bro. But he just kept hyping him up with the hands. And I was like, no, bro, this is not accurate. And I'm sure a lot of you feel the same way. I don't know how Strickland, I'm so mad I didn't make a prediction. I don't know how Strickland was an underdog. Even before, like, the week or so leading up to the fight, just immersing myself in a lot of what these guys have done in the past and seeing interviews and kind of mentalities and the way they present themselves and the presence of confidence or the lack thereof, everything. I was like, Fluffy, he's a good fighter. He's a good fighter. You don't win 8 in a row, even if they're like, even if it's like a Tony Ferguson streak, and it's not like, not really notable people in notable parts of their career. He's still a good fighter. But I was thinking even before this, he is a Diego Lopez. He's not a strap holder. He is a Paddy Pimblett. Fluffy had no options with Sean Strickland. He wasn't going to leg kick him all night or throw some jabs and level change and go for the takedown. Because, again, the leg kicks from Sean Strickland, the way he keeps his leg just is like a candle in the wind. Like, it's probably not even going to be there to begin with. And if it is, he's just going to let go like this. He's got that front leg. Like, he knows exactly what to do with it. You're going to try to jab? You're going to try to jab with Sean Strickland? That was never going to happen. You're going to take him down. He's going to ground and pound you. He's going to choke you. That's not going to happen. So let's go toe-to-toe with him. Oh, yeah, you want to go toe-to-toe with him? You want to go toe-to-toe with the guy who's now number 2 all-time, only behind Max Holloway in significant strikes landed? He set a record that night during that fight. He's now number 2. Number 2 significant strikes landed ever. That's who you want to try to go toe-to-toe with? It wasn't going to happen. I have to give Henry Cejudo the credit. I don't know if another video has come out since then, but the last video that I watched on the, I don't remember what it's called. It's the podcast that Cejudo does with Usman. Cejudo said that his pick was Strickland. And Usman was like, oh, really? And Cejudo was like, Fluffy has issues with body shots. He says, I think Strickland is going to get him with the body shot. I can't even imagine when they do their next upload, Cejudo's going to be like, am I wrong? It was crazy, bro. He got him with a body shot. Strickland got Fluffy. The knee right there. in the body, and that's what just said. By the way, I don't know how much you paid attention to the finishing sequence. Like, if I was like FBI personnel or whatever, whoever gets involved with the gambling, look, like, I'm not even trying to, I was just over here saying, obviously, Fluffy can't be Strickland, but at the same time, you know, all context aside, it looked suspicious, bro. Look at the end, Fluffy. You know how I was talking about it a while back, how when you look up certain martial arts on YouTube, the guy who's playing like the dummy, like the uke, right? He just stands there and he's like, ooh, 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 ooh. And he's just taking hits, and everyone's like, that martial art would never work. What's your opponent just gonna stand like that on the street and not fight you? That's exactly what Fluffy was doing. He was going like this. He was kind of leaned over. He was going. He was like, is it raving? I've never been to a rave. He was going like this. He didn't pick up his hands. I don't know why I looked at that camera. He didn't He didn't pick up his hands. He wasn't blocking. He wasn't moving back. He wasn't stepping. No head. It was weird. It literally looked like, I was trying to think of something to compare it to. It literally looked like he was trying to present different parts of his head for Strickland to hit. Like, make sure you get everything. Make sure you get every spot. Like, I'm not even, watch it again, bro. I'm not even joking. It was like he just kept rotating his head a little bit. Like, you could probably put it to a beat or something. He was just like rotating it, and Strickland was like, ta, 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 ta. And he's just going like this. It was so weird. Ultimately, this fight was nothing but a glorified sparring session. Sean Strickland absolutely controlled the pace. He was doing his jab, 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 jab thing, and he made Fluffy, I mean, he didn't even have to visualize. I mean, again, remember, if you remember from earlier, he was visualizing Jim West and that whole thing. But Fluffy came into the fight fighting like a social media influencer. Strickland didn't even have to pretend. He controlled it from start to finish, and he kept it very basic, but that's all he needs to do. It's very much his style of jabbing, staying light on that foot, not allowing any kind of leg kick attacks to wear him down and take him off balance and make him switch stances. The combination of that jab, that light foot, that guard that he keeps up, the pressure, there was nothing that Hernandez could do. Here's what I noticed Strickland does with anyone with any kind of power or any kind of threat. And this ain't something that you probably, I mean, you've seen this yourself if you've been paying attention. We always hear about his pressure. He says he fights Mexican style. Pressure. And by the way, some more propaganda. Bisping said during the fight, it's gross, man, how eager people are to do this. Because you could hear, I think maybe, I don't know if it's between rounds 1 and 2 or 2 and 3. I think it's between 1 and 2. You could hear Strickland tell Fluffy something. Bisping repeated it and said, oh, it's funny. This is what Strickland just told Fluffy. And he said that he told him, you know, for a Mexican, I like you. Or something like that. You could go back and listen to it. Okay, when you listen to it, though, what he said was, you fight like a Mexican. I like it. Or you fight like a Mexican. I love it. However the wording is. So he wasn't saying, hey, you know, I like you for a Mexican. You're one of the good ones. It wasn't like that. He was saying you fight like a Mexican because people talk like that in combat sports. That's a thing. That's a phrase. Fighting like a Mexican style. That's a thing. So he said, hey, you fight like a Mexican. I like it. And of course, they put their stupid spin on it. But that's neither here either. What I've noticed that Strickland does is he's always putting on that pressure. But it's funny, the moment someone pushes back, he's going back. Beep, beep, beep. You guys, you've had to have seen this if you've been watching his fights. It's always forward. And then when someone's like, oh yeah, he's like, oh. But he didn't have to do that with Fluffy. He just kept going. Now look, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I could. Maybe I should, but my food's getting cold. When Paramount, and who knows how far we have to go with this? UFC? Is it Dana and then UFC? Is it UFC and then Dana and then TKO and Endeavor and then Paramount? I don't know. I don't know how that works, but whoever it was, they knew who this dude Y'all know what it was before I put that ring on your finger? You knew what it was? They got this crazy dude saying these crazy things, and they know they love it. And they know the majority, even if it's a silent majority, and I'm not going to get into the whole thing, but the majority is typically silent. It's usually the minority that's just obnoxious and loud. And I forget there's a verbiage for that. It's like a something effect, where there's like a small pocket of society that seems like the majority because they're so loud and they never shut up. And it's usually the silent majority that's like, oh, I don't want to be like them. We all agree, right? But we're not loud. Let's just keep to ourselves. Everybody knew what it was. They knew what they were in for, and they liked it, right? But now they're trying to grab this bull. They're trying to grab this bull by the horns, and they're trying to turn him into a steer. And I said it in my video, and I believe you guys could check the timestamps and the uploads or whatever if you want. I believe I said this before anybody else said anything about it. I think so. My take on that interview, and I saw some people don't know how to just use Google or YouTube. Like, I can't give you everything, bro. I made a video a few days ago about Sean Strickland, and he was doing a press conference. And it was the one that I happened to see, it was on the Mac Life channel. And the title might be something about women's MMA, or I don't know. It's like maybe like a 20-minute long video. I don't remember. But he was talking on there, and there was this lady reporter, and you could hear it in the tone of her voice. And I'll try not to be too long-winded about it, because I talked about it more in that video. You could go check it out if you want. But you could tell it was a sting operation. She's trying to bait him. She's trying to get clicks. She was trying to get him caught up. Now, it doesn't mean that he's perfect. It doesn't mean if no one goes out there and provokes him, he's never going to say nothing crazy. I'm not that stupid. I understand that. But that doesn't erase what she was doing. Anybody with the objective pair of ears that's not just like already decided about this dude, with the objective pair of ears, could hear in the tone of her voice. It was just like, why don't you tell us? What do you think about a man loving another man, Sean? Why don't you tell all of us? Hey, Sean, what do you think about Pride Month, huh? Like, it was just as gross, like, oh, I'm gonna end you. And my video was basically saying, okay, the dude isn't the most perfect dude ever, but there was clearly something weird going on here. This lady was weird. She didn't come correct. There was an agenda here. It was just like when they were asking Sydney's Weenie all those weird questions the other day with that really passive-aggressive interviewer. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? There's clearly these types of people that are always just looking for their gotchas. That's their whole thing. It gets them excited. And some people were getting on me a little bit, like, why are you giving him an excuse? He's a bad man. I'm like, hey. That aside, that's not even what I'm talking about right now. I'm talking about this lady. What's up with that lady? Because nobody else, it's weird how when somebody already has their sight set on how they want to execute somebody and their career or whatever, it's like the blinders, like they don't hear anything else, bro. It's tunnel vision. And there's no nuance, and they can't understand or wrap their beanies around. Like, nobody else was acting like that. Nobody. And so I know these days nobody cares what Dana thinks, but I just thought it was a little interesting and a little bit affirming, at least when they were asking Dana, what do you think about all that? And I think a lot of people probably thought he was going to say, yeah, that guy's an idiot. He's getting us in trouble. I don't know. He's just like he'll even say like Bryce Mitchell's being an idiot. He's stupid or whatever. But he was annoyed with the reporters. He picked up on it too. Now, I know we hate on him, we clown on him. I do it all the time. I've made raps about him. Have you made a diss track about Dana White? Please. Child, please. You think you have clown on Dana White? I've made diss tracks, homie. But you got to give credit where it's due. He is the new Vince McMahon. You know, aside from all the aside from other like cochino type activities, I'm talking about like business wise. Is anybody right here doing as well as Dana White? Is anybody as successful as Dana? Like, you think he just stumbled upon all that by accident and he's got nothing intelligent or strategic going on up here? Like, he probably knows some stuff about some stuff, right? And he was saying that girl was being an idiot. Like, what do you think you're gonna get? What do you think you're gonna get when you ask stuff like that? Like, if I bet I could ask that girl some crazy questions and it will make her look bad. Her name is Amy Kaplan, and don't think I'm being gross or anything. That's not doxing. She's a public figure. She's an MMA journalist, but her name is. I was like trying to figure like what was this a real person? Like, for real. Like, I was bothered by this. I thought that you remember that guy that went up to the mic. And he was a Conor McGregor fan, and he kind of dressed up like he was an actual reporter, and then he started talking a bunch of trash to, I think, Eddie Alvarez. And then they were trying to take him off the mic, and Conor was all laughing and all that. I legitimately thought this was one of those moments. I thought it was some dummy that just got her credentials, fooled everybody, came off the street, and was trying to have her moment, her 15 seconds. And it turns out that she's been doing this for a while. So there was a lot of people that was like, UFC, Dana, Paramount, you guys are monsters. It's over. I'm canceling. You guys are. But Dana came out and he's like, that girl's dumb. That was stupid. You guys say stupid stuff. You ask stupid questions. What do you expect? And for some people, it was like, oh, okay. So Dana's not villainizing him, and Dana like represents the UFC. It was her. Okay, he's saying that she's a bad guy, not Sean. So maybe Dana is getting pressure from Paramount, and maybe he's just annoyed that he's having to play like the middleman between somebody, a star, who he probably agrees with like everything he's saying all the time, and has to say sorry to Paramount, but also doesn't want to tell Strickland to stop because he knows that that's what the silent majority likes. He knows that's what the viewers want to see. So he's not going to tell Sean to stop, but he has to keep saying sorry then. And then some people kept bringing up the good point. Well, they kept bringing up the point that I always bring up. They were saying, bro, South Park? Shows like South Park say way worse things than what Strickland says. And these people plan it. They script it. They storyboard it. They animate it. It goes through production meetings. It goes through executive producers and show. It goes through so many hoops and filters. And that gets out there. Sean's, he just goes off the beanie. He just off the cuff. And they're like, It's starting to look like it's Paramount and just Paramount. That's what it's starting to look like. I think Sean even said something that alluded to the fact like, oh, I got to apologize to Paramount again, or they're going to call me. I think at some point he even said F Paramount. And again, it's just weird because UFC is an entertainment company. They produce entertainment just like South Park and Landman, and anything else you could watch on Paramount. But again, those require even more effort, and they let those fly and go through all the loopholes and go through all the filters. But something that just went off the beanie, and it's this gritty, like Joe Rogan has said it a bunch, like, what do you expect from a dude like John Jones, one of the greatest fighters of all time? Do you think he's going to be like a mild-mannered accountant? And I know that's like a fantastic movie, and that guy could fight as well. But it's a different thing. Like, for the most part, you would expect the best fighters in the world to be wild men, to be unchained. And I hope people could understand this, because I know there's people from every angle on every side. Let me say this, and I think this is fair and objective. Let me see if you could be that way as well. I can't say that I always agree with every single thing Strickland says ever, but I love the fact that he could say it. And I'll sit there and listen to all of it, because that's what makes the sport a freak show. And look, before you have to go get your tissue, if somebody came in after Strickland leaves the room and says all the exact opposite stuff, they'll say, I love Bad Bunny. They'll say, I love heated rivalry. All that kind of stuff. They should be able to speak too. I think it's very intriguing that one side is often referred to as Nazis. But the other one is always the one trying to shut down and silence and basically eliminate a whole population of people because they don't fit. They're not helping to push the needle forward. And to me, that seems more like Hitler to me than anything. So when he was talking at the press conference, they cut off his mic. And what they didn't realize at the time was, and again, this isn't something that I coined. I think it was Oscar Willis, the dude from the Mac Life, that said this. They made a martyr out of him. They made, it's kind of like what happened with the MMA guru. And where it just reinforced people to be like, bro, if I'm a support now more than ever before, because now that they're trying to hold the man down, this is sticking to the man-itis. I'm so used to seeing people like he's an idiot, he's wacko, he's crazy, look at what he said now, and so on and so forth and etc. I've never seen such an outpouring of support and admiration for Sean Strickland. I almost feel like someone on the inside did it on purpose to propel him. This had like the exact opposite effect of what they were probably trying to do. And I just want to point out one more thing that I haven't heard anybody else mention. Everybody keeps saying that they cut off his mic, and people keep saying, F Paramount, Paramount this, Paramount that. It was someone at the UFC that cut his mic. Which again is weird because Dana's like, the reporters are dumb, don't say dumb stuff. But then someone from the UFC, unless they have like Paramount people on site, which actually does make sense. That's probably a given. But everybody seems to think that they cut it as soon as he talked about Jim West, who is Aspen Ladd's coach husband. As soon as he did that, which, bro, within this same video, I have to keep reminding myself who Jim West is. I can't even remember that dude. People don't care about him. That's not what it's about. That's not when it cut off. I'm always so blown away by how little people pay attention. That's not when they cut the mic off. It had nothing to do with Jim West. They cut it off. And I know he said it again after. So some of you are going to be like, no, he said that after. He said it twice or 3 times maybe. They cut it off after he mentioned Khamzat Chamoyev and him possibly being interested in certain types of relations and activities with members of the GOAT family. Now, I've noticed something, and look, do with this what you will. And before you guys start accusing me of stuff, because this has happened before, because I'm a truth teller. I'm an MMA truther. I don't just tickle ears and say what people want to hear. I will tell it like it is. All right? Hashtag Aaron Neville. You already know this. One of my favorite fighters, active fighters, is Khamzat Chimaev. My favorite fighter all the time, Khabib Nurmagomedov. Okay? We're good now? We're good now? Okay, listen. I've noticed that anytime anybody says something along the lines of something that could offend certain peoples of certain persuasions that are maybe along the lines of some type of religious activities, as like Khabib Nurmagomedov, Chimaev, Makhachev, things like Ramadan related and type like that. That's a big no-no. You can't do that. It's off limits. You cannot speak ill of the GOATs. You know what I'm saying? Even YouTube's going to be skimming this video. I got to be careful how I say it. That's a big no-no. Now, you can make fun of Mormons. You can make fun of Scientology. You can make fun of the Jews. You can make fun of the Jehovah's Witnesses. You can make fun of the Christians. You can make fun of the Catholics. You can make movies about this. You could make songs about it. You can make plays about it. But you talk about stuff like this, pull the plug. You cannot let the infidels get away with this type of activity. And this trend has grown at exceeding rates. I remember, when was it, 2005? Something like that. The 40-Year-Old Virgin came out, that movie. And I don't know how well you remember that movie. I've seen it about 405 times. And there's a joke in there that, you know, they throw back and forth about having relations with, again, members of the GOAT family. And they throw it around loosey-goosey, man. And all these people, I mean, you got Seth Rogen in there, man. Seth Rogen, that dude's on the highest horse. That dude needs a helicopter to get to his horse. And he's in the 40-year-old virgin. And all these other notable names. And they're talking about these activities with goats. And it's ha, 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 ha. And that's the same movie. Hey, you know how I know you're gay? You know how I know you're gay? And look at us today. Look at us today. We got a cute little joke about a goat. Pull the plug. Don't even pull the plug. Just call the energy company. Just tell them we don't need service anymore. We don't. Hey, leave it plugged in. Don't even expend the energy. Leave it plugged in. No pun intended. Leave it plugged in. Let's call the energy. We're just gonna cancel it. We don't play that game. The UFC needs people like Sean Strickland. Paramount Plus needs people like Sean Strickland, so you can point your finger. So you can point your finger and say that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.